My dad taught me at an early age to break into people's houses and to come back with a report.
Welcome back to our channel. This is another episode of Montana Family Homestead, and we are interviewing our good friend Michael Jones. He has a story to tell, and I hope you stick around to hear him give his testimony of how he came out of the deepest darkness and found true victory in Jesus. Thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoy this content.
My dad taught me at an early age to break into people's houses and to come back with a report of what's in them. I found out that I broke into somebody's house, I'd head straight for the refrigerator, start looking for booze. And I'd gather up all the booze and throw it out of the house while looking around in there making notes of what's in the house. Well, I'd come back and give him a report, and his little merry band of bandits that he hung out with, they would go and rob the house. And mostly they were looking for antiques. And so his house filled up with antiques, I remember. I was more interested in breaking into those houses for the alcohol because it was free reign. There was no rules on it other than I wasn't to embarrass him with it. I was a thief. I was a good one. So getting into the wrong circles of people in Kalispell, got mixed up with the wrong crowds of people immediately, and other thieves that back in those days there was a family of people, there was a family of witches back then that we got tangled up with, but there was the drug lords back then in Kalispell, and that would come in, they would, it was our job, if we wanted drugs, we could have anything we wanted, but it was our job to fill up a train box car load of stolen goods headed back east. So it was our job to fill that train car up. Being good at the trade, I got things to eat. I always had things to eat, it seemed like. We got bold enough to where it became a game, and we didn't care if we got caught, didn't care if we went to jail, didn't care about anything. But I remember a Kmart in Kalispell. One night, three of us, we were gangsters, but we decided that whoever comes out of Kmart with the smallest item has to buy the booze for the night. I walked out with a canoe, right out the front door.
No way.
Yeah, and we used to do stuff like that all the time. And just the attitude of, this is my store, get out of the way. I was mentally could not get a driver's license until I got born again.
Okay.
Mentally, I could not function in society at all. And everybody knew it. I was homeless. I was wake up in the ditch all the time. People drive by me all the time, step over me and whatever. This is everywhere I went. Sometimes I'd wake up in another state. Woke up in Washington one time. I had no idea how I got there. Had to ask somebody, where am I? And all covered. Yeah, I was always, never took a bath. I'd jump in the river sometimes. My mental state wasn't good, wasn't right. But I lived for drugs and more booze. And food, yeah, when it was around. That first winter, there was an old mountain man named Jimmy that living in a log cabin. Quiet old man, and his son was my fellow, he became my brother-in-law, and we became hoodlums in Kalispell, big time. My dad, he never called me by my name. My name was usually Dummy, and I knew it was not a good day if it was stupid, but he called me stupid a lot. And I think the problem with me was I was autistic, I was full of PTSD, damaged right from the start, and nobody could handle me. Nobody knew what to do with this damaged kid, so I was just in the way. And so my name was Stupid. I knew that I was. I just knew that I was. That's what I heard all the time. I knew I was stupid. You know, back in those days, people communicated with their fists a lot. And that's how communication was done in my house a lot. And a lot of times I'd just wake up, or I'd pick myself up off the ground, not even knowing how I got there. He just hit me, knocked me right off my feet. Then would come the boots. The school was told that I had a special medical problem. I was supposed to tell the school, and the school was told that Michael Jones has a special medical problem where he bruises really easy, so we have to treat him like an egg. And so that became a thing. You can't treat, or he bruises really easy, so we can't. But the bruises were coming from home, and that's what, it was just a story. My dad came to Coeur d'Alene, and Jim came to Coeur d'Alene to get me from my mom, because I just tried to stab my stepdad, and she didn't want me around. So they came and got me, loaded up with Coors beer, and drove to Columbia Falls, where my stepmom was waiting to meet me. And I have no memory of meeting her. I was so drunk I passed out in the seat before we got home. I remember waking up in a shed, and the shed was where I stayed. The house, her kids stayed in the house with her and them. So I stayed in the shed for a while, but things went downhill bad, and I was the problem. I was the problem. He was always doing something. He made sure I knew how to tie a hangman's noose. He made me practice a hangman's noose. And I came to the conclusion that it was to hang myself. I made all these dummies of scarecrows and filled them full of clothes, filled them full of hay, and hung them in the barn. And each one of these scarecrows had a hangman's noose around its neck. And I stabbed them full of every knife I could find and everything red that I could splash onto these things. I left them there. And that was us. That was the whole family. I hung us all. So I had really bad mental problems. I was sending kids to the hospital, at school. My anger was just, somebody would beat me to the ball. He would beat me to the ball, and one kid just beat me to the ball. We were both trying to get it. I picked up a chunk of cement, and he was so bloody by the time they pulled me off. And all I could think about is, I'm killing you. You're dead. There was kids in the school that I was I was drawing blood on myself, not afraid to draw blood on others. I was always carving on myself, always drawing blood on myself somewhere. And then that got worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point I couldn't feel anything. And I guess that subject came up too. I couldn't feel anything. And I turned my life into a religion. Part mountain man, part Indian, part Robinson Crusoe, total survivor to the bone. And whatever it took to survive, okay, I'm ready. And so I made up my mind that whatever kind of hell came along, I was ready to meet it head on. My attitude in Kalispell was, I wore buckskin clothes a lot of times, never took a bath, hardly cut my hair, always covered in blood, puke, whatever. Just everything about me said stay away, and everybody did. Yeah, one day I think I have like half a dozen memories of being in his house, and a couple for sure. And one was I was up on the top bunk, on the bunk bed, and he threw me up there, and he had a piece of rope in his hand, and he grabbed me and turned me onto my stomach and tied my hands behind my back, which wasn't totally unusual. He was always doing something like that. I was always bleeding, always bruised, always bleeding. They tied my hands behind my back, and he's talking to me. I wasn't quite sure what he was. I figured he's probably just drunk. And then my hands were tied behind my back, and then he grabbed my feet and jerked them up there and tied both my hands and my feet together, hog-tied me. All I can figure is maybe somebody came home, and I don't know. It was kind of like all of a sudden he grabbed me off of that bed and threw me in the closet and shut the door. And everything was dark, and I'm laying in there on my stomach. I don't know what happened after that. He would throw darts at me. He would always kicking, and then delivering pain somehow. And he would wait there with a grin on his face, waiting for a tear. And I learned to shut tears off. You ain't getting one. You ain't getting one no matter what you do. You ain't getting no tear from me. I learned to shut it all off. I left home, and he was done torturing me. I started torturing myself. And filled a lot of bar rooms full of smoke from the smell of burning flesh. I learned that I could win drinks in bars, and even as a minor, in a biker bar in Kalispell, where all the bikers would go, Stockman's Bar on Main Street. A lot of the crazies would go there. And a lot of times you win drinks in bars by playing chicken, dropping a cigar in between your arms, or this one was, they said that it's impossible to put a dollar bill around your wrist and to burn a hole through it with a cigarette. And so they put up a half a pound of pot weed as a bet for anybody that could do it. There was no doubt in my mind that I was going to do it. I just didn't know it was going to take 3 cigarettes. But we put a dollar bill around my wrist like this, a single layer, not double like this, but a single layer, and taped it. Lit up a cigarette and put on there. Lit it up and put it on there, hot end down, and let it smolder. Took a long time. All the way down to the end. Long time. And it made the paper turn brown. We lit up another one. It made it turn dark. On the 3rd cigarette, we took the dollar bill off and somebody said, "There's a hole in it." He did it. Years later, I had this arm x-rayed for something, and the doctor said on this one and on this one, the marrow of the bone got so hot it was scarred. Burned clear into the marrow of the bone. These took well over a year for those to close up and heal. I would heat up a sewing needle red hot, and I would tell people in the bar, "Get me a sewing needle." I says, and a pair of pliers, clippers, fingernail clippers, something to hold onto that needle, and heat it up red hot with a Bic lighter and get it red hot and shove it straight in my leg. And I says, "I can do this, but you guys got to buy me a round of drinks for the whole night." "Oh yeah, you can't do that." "Oh yeah, well, I'll bet." "All right, let's do it." So I got dime-sized scars on my legs from that. It all started when I was young. I pushed myself to extremes that no one else could do. Something comes to mind as all the different ways he showed up in my hell. The Lord showed up. And one of those times was in Kalispell. I had apparently left the bars. It was like 10 below zero. And I'd left the bars, I left my coat or something. I was wandering around Kalispell in a t-shirt. And I wandered over to the fairgrounds and got into a stall with a horse. And all night long, I was in that stall with that horse, 10 below zero weather. And that horse laid down with me in that stall the whole night, kept me warm. There was so many instances like that in wrecks that we came out of. There's no way we could have come out of those wrecks. There was so many instances. I had this sense that God is real somehow. And he kept showing up. And I didn't know that it was him. But little by little through the years, I came to a knowledge that woe am I, woe am I. I was caught in a hell I couldn't get out of. And mentally I had fried my brain. By the time I was 15, I had snorted so much gasoline up my nose that my brain wasn't functioning correctly anymore. My ability to communicate or understand wasn't there. My physical feeling was all messed up. Couldn't even tell when I had to go to the bathroom for a period of time. All this violence, all this hatred, anger, waiting to die. Taking drugs like candy. Just pillaging Kalispell everywhere we went. Just had no respect for anyone, anything. Just basically waiting to die. But God had a plan. I shot a church in Kalispell full of holes with a gun. And 1981. And it was because of this little lady named Dottie Stevens. And most people would make a wide circle around me. And that's basically okay with me. Dottie Stevens was totally unintimidated by me. She would walk right up to me and these look in her eyes. And she had a little book and I knew it was the Bible. And I wasn't hearing everything that she said, but I didn't need to hear the words because the Spirit was there. And she spooked me to the point where I went and we driving by her church one night all drunk, and I knew where she went to church, and I shot that church full of holes. And shot windows, doors, things out of it, and there was a second time that we had shot that church. There was another time. And I figured, well, the FBI cops were after us for a number of things anyway. I figured, gonna go to jail over something, you know, and whether this is it or not. It didn't make any difference. And Stillwater Lutheran Church, right where we get our milk for the store.
Okay.
That church bought me an airline ticket and put me on an airplane and sent me to the ghettos of Los Angeles. Well, it's a good place to send a criminal, send him down there, get rid of him, you know, get him out of here. But that's not what it was about. They had hooked up with, I don't know who did this. I don't know. There's a whole lot I don't know. I just landed in LA. I shot up a bunch of drugs in my arms and then got on the airplane. I remember that. That's where I met him. My past is like an inch away from me a lot of times, and sometimes it catches up with me, and I get in trouble because of it sometimes too. More and more there's peace. More and more there's understanding as I walk with him, lean on him, call upon him. And the nightmare isn't completely over. But I got to tell you about this part that happened to me. They sent me to the ghettos of Los Angeles. They sent me into the heart of hell down there. And they sent me to a program called Teen Challenge. You got to read the book called Run Baby Run, Crossing the Switchblade. David Wilkerson, a man of God with an anointing. I got to tell you about this anointing of fire that came down in Los Angeles. An anointing of Pentecost fire. The real thing came down and touched 15 of us. There was no hope for any of us. We were at the end of our line, us guys. I was one of them. They were bad off as me. There was no hope for us. We were already been to prison. We had already been, somebody just needed to shoot us in the head and get us over with. But God had a plan for every single one of us guys that were in that program. We got touched by fire. And my experience, I would say on October 3rd, 1981, a dead man stood on his feet. Part of me that was not living. Part of me that was dead stood up. All I had to do was say, okay, come in. Okay, I need help. Okay, I'm here. Come into this mess if you're willing. And he was more than willing and waiting. October 3rd, 1981, probably 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, Los Angeles, where my life started. I had gotten there and my brain had been so scrambled for so many years, and I couldn't communicate things. I could scream good. I could rage good. I couldn't communicate with these guys other than just scream at them. And for a period of time, I didn't have to sleep in the house. They let me sleep in the backyard. In this big fenced area, 12-foot high fence all the way around this backyard. Under these trees, they let me dig a hole. And I spent weeks in that hole. And somebody's sleeping out in the yard with me. And they bring me food and stuff until I could get close to that house. I came back to Kalispell. It's like nobody knew who I was. My dad was, I guess he was just scared completely out of his mind. He had no idea what he was looking at now. And he'd never seen me like I was. I couldn't keep my mouth shut about God. And I tell you what, it'd come out of me like thunder everywhere I went. It came out of me like thunder all the way from Los Angeles all the way back to Kalispell. Still coming out of me like thunder. I can't keep my mouth shut. How could you keep your mouth shut? You've been blind. You've never seen blue. You've never seen anything, period. Just black your entire life. It's all you've ever known. And all of a sudden, Jesus told one of these people, shh, don't tell anybody about this. How is he going to keep his mouth shut? Jesus knew that he couldn't. How could you keep your mouth shut? This man's gonna be crazy for a while. Who's gonna babysit him? This is Blue! You never seen Blue? He's gonna be, everything's gonna be, this is me. Dead man was standing on his feet. Everything became new. Everything is still becoming new.
The story of Michael Jones is a testament to the goodness of God. From the depth of despair, hopelessness, drug addiction, alcoholism, abuse, to God's goodness, it is an encouragement to every one of our lives, no matter how deep the struggle. God is waiting for you. All you have to do is call His name, and His name is Jesus.